I was told I would need a stoma bag and to be on harsh immune system suppressants for the rest of my life. But now I am symptom free. So back in January 2023, I was in hospital for about 8 days with them constantly giving me steroids, and then the doctor coming in saying, we will have to remove your large colon if the inflammation doesn't reduce. Then they put me on immune suppressants, more steroids, and basically sent me on my way. Fast forward to now, I haven't had one single flare-up, I haven't been on any medication, and I can honestly say nutrition was the key factor in making me heal. I bet you heard from your doctor, nutrition doesn't play a role in ulcerative colitis, or IBD in general, Crohn's. It doesn't play a role. But this harmful medical advice keeps people on immune suppressants, penicillin, steroids, and all these horrible chemicals that they're pumping into your body because they haven't taken the time to do the research into what is actually triggering it and if nutrition can be the cure for these inflammatory bowel diseases. So I've basically been in hospital probably about 3 times since I've been diagnosed. I was diagnosed about 10-11 years ago of ulcerative colitis. Mine is pancolitis, so basically it means it affects all of the large colon. So if they ever needed to remove a part of it, they couldn't remove it, they'd have to remove the whole colon. So over the course of, let's say, the 10-11 years, I have been on numerous courses of steroids, being told that this is the only solution to reduce the inflammation. Then they also tell you that you need to be making sure that you are eating enough fiber, and you are basically, they basically told me over the course of this many years, nutrition doesn't play a role. Because I kept going back to them saying, look, is there something that's irritating my bowels that's going to cause an inflammation? They said, no, it can't be anything to do with your nutrition. Now, there is certain foods that might irritate and give you like cramps, but it won't actually cause the inflammation itself. So as you do with any IBD, you constantly have to go for checkups with cameras up your ass, which aren't pleasant whatsoever. Then you have to basically, every time you have a flare-up, you give them a call, straight on penicillin, where you're on these harsh steroids, which make you feel like you're basically, it feels like there's a dark cloud over your head, basically, and there's nothing, you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. You're on them for weeks and weeks. I ended up with puffy face, spots all over my face, my back. They're not pleasant in the slightest. So I've had to endure years and years of all these side effects and prolonged effects. Like at one point I was taking the steroids, didn't realise that they actually made you infertile. The whole time I took them, not once did they tell me it was infertile. It was only when I started trying to have another baby that I realised that they did. So for this to keep going the way it is, for them to keep saying it is nothing to do with nutrition, is basically causing people to have way more side effects than they should. Once again, they prioritize literally medication over getting to the root cause of what is happening. And if I ended up listening to what they told me, then I would end up with a stoma bag right now. So I'd literally be shitting in a bag because of their shitty advice giving me that only medication is gonna help me stay in remission. But that was until I figured out the Carnivore Diet. Now, obviously, I'm a qualified personal trainer, and for years before I become a personal trainer, I was into my nutrition. I've always pretty much eaten decent foods. I'm not one of these people that eats loads of shit all the time, so I pretty much knew about good nutrition, but I never heard about the Carnivore Diet. I heard about, obviously, the keto diet, and I'm biased, I guess, when you're a PT, you're like, no, carbs are the energy source. You have to have carbs for energy. So when I found the Carnivore Diet, and it was saying that people were healing their autoimmune diseases. They were literally being symptom-free. I kind of thought, is this just another deploy just to get people to start another diet trend? So obviously the more I watched, the more research, the more I noticed that people were getting over the autoimmune diseases like arthritis, their Crohn's, their ulcerative colitis, all sorts of different things. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. So this was in August 23. I decided, right, I'm coming off all my meds. So at the time I was on immune suppressants. So I thought, you know what, I'm not staying on this medication. I want to come off it straight away. So I jumped just straight in the deep end, come off all meds, and I decided to start eating carnivore. And over the course of the last 18 months, I have maybe had 1 or 2 little mini flare-ups where I've ended up having to go to the toilet a little bit more. I've had one time where there's a little bit of blood, but then I literally tightened up my diet. So instead of eating like butter and stuff like that with it, I decided to just go straight to beef. And within a couple of days, it rectified itself and been sorted. So with me switching to the carnivore diet, now it has brought up that fact that I am histamine intolerant, which I didn't actually realise because I've been eating beef for so long, but I'm actually going to do a different video about that, about what I'm going to do for my histamine intolerance. So every time I add in different foods now, because I've just eaten beef basically straight with nothing else for about 6 months, I've now experienced a very low histamine food. I've now, when I add certain things, I am reacting. So I'm going to do a video on me coming over basically the intolerance, because there's quite a few people that's in my instance where they think, oh great, I've been on carnivore this long, trying to add food back in, and then they're having a reaction. They're like, oh well, I thought I was healed my ulcerative colitis. When in actual fact it could be histamine. So stay tuned for that video. If you want to watch that video, then subscribe, hit that bell notification so you'll get obviously the notification of it. So as I said, in the last 18 months, I can tell that my ulcerative colitis is healed. It's not my ulcerative colitis that's the issue anymore. As I say, it's histamine. So if I decided to do what they said, I wouldn't be where I am now. So how can they keep giving people this advice if there is a solution out there for people who have got IBD, but yet they don't want to class it as something to do with your nutrition? That's just my thought on it. So in the last 18 months, I haven't had to rush to the toilet because I'm going to shit my pants. I haven't had to be on any penicillin, so I haven't had any spots, feeling moody, miserable, and I haven't been on immune suppressants, so my immune system has been absolutely amazing, and I haven't been getting colds or illnesses, whereas before when I was on it, I was getting every single last thing I was getting, which has made me feel better in myself. I felt good, and it's a long time. It gives you that bit of freedom to live your life without having to be on meds. Now I have a step-by-step action plan that you could do for, obviously, if you want to start carnivore. Now this is different how I did it. When I first started, I went carnivore straight away, jumping straight into it, well, for the whole time. This way here kind of hopefully will alleviate the intolerances, like the histamine intolerances, because I feel like you can go too strict, but obviously this comes down to you. If you want to, obviously, talk to your healthcare professional before you do it, then great. But obviously, you need to monitor this yourself and see how you feel every single day. I can't just say something, you follow it, and then you feel like utter shit because you've not been monitoring it. So come on, use your brain yourself. This is a guide. See what you can do from it. So obviously, step 1, this is basically the first initial 30 days. So you just want to eat beef, water, salt only. So literally that is it. So you want good quality beef. This is something I didn't do either. I decided to eat just minced beef every day for months, which wasn't very good. So you want to be eating nose to tail of beef. So that could be all the lovely gelatinous things, like you've got your oxtail, you've got tongues, you've got beef ribs, you've got obviously your steaks, you've got your briskets, you've got your chuck rolls. There's a vast selection out there that you should be, diving into. Not just minced beef is amazing, but it shouldn't be eaten 3 times a day every day for months, because you'll end up like me. So beef, water, salt when you first do it. This is like the reset your gut and basically the baseline for the intolerances. So it'll reset you. This 30 days, you'll notice that all the inflammation from your bowels will pretty much be gone within the 30 days easily. Step number 2, you kind of want to introduce foods gradually. So weeks 5 and 6. So you want to go for, I watched the Carb Addiction doc. Now, his videos are amazing, very informative. And he talks about, obviously, when you reintroduce stuff, you want to introduce like whole animals, which makes perfect sense, because then you're getting the whole aspect of the animal. That's why I said eat nose to tail for the beef. So eggs. Eggs are amazing. Some people are intolerant to them and they are higher in histamine. But if you can add eggs back in first, that is amazing. See how you react. Have a little bit. Maybe start off with 1 yolk. And then if you react okay, next day have 2 yolks. Next day have 3 yolks. I am doing another video on how to reintroduce foods back in. So once again, if you want to subscribe, you will see it soon on the channel. How to reintroduce foods back into your diet after you've been on carnivore for so long. Or this could be obviously this step here. Then you've got small fish. Obviously small fish like sardines, mackerel, anchovies, things like that. they're literally the full fish in a tin. If you want to add them back in, I absolutely despise fish. I absolutely hate it. I think it tastes like utter garbage. But I am actually going to reintroduce fish back in because of the omega-3s and the DHs, Hs and stuff like that. So yeah, they are very important for the right sort of omega oils. Then there's obviously cheese. If you tolerate cheese, that's also another, like dairy seems to have quite a lot of the like whole aspects of things. So if you can tolerate cheeses, raw, hard cheeses, then maybe see if you can add them in, but only like a small amount of cheese, because otherwise, if you are trying to maybe lose weight at the same time, you might end up realizing that you're not going to lose the weight because the carbs in the cheese. Now, step number 3, you basically keep expanding your meat variety. So you've added whole things back in. So this is week 7 and 8. So you add in some pork, some chicken, some lamb. If you want to just stay for ruminant meat, that is fine. So obviously you got ruminant meat, which is the best quality of meat. I should have said this before. This is why you go for beef, because it's one of the most healing. Ruminant meat is any animal that's got more than one stomach. So obviously by the time it's eating all the food it's not supposed to eat, like the grains and everything like that. Now I have put other videos on the channel about obviously animals not eating what they're supposed to be eating, which is probably why, you know, they end up getting causes of these illnesses and things like that, even though if they're eating meat which is cleaner. So basically, maybe lamb, goat, deer, things like that if you want to stay down that route. Or you can add in chicken, pork, just make sure it's pasture raised and it's no corn, no soy. You want it as decent as possible as you can afford, basically, because you can get the shittier bits of lamb and like goat and stuff like that with them not being grass fed and whatever else, because it's gone through more stomach, so by the time it gets into meat it's clean. But chicken, pork, all the pork itself, if you feed loads of shit, all of it, literally all the excess like omega-6s which cause inflammation goes into the fat. So make sure if you're going to choose pork or chicken, they need to be decent quality. Then if you get to week 8 and you're feeling fantastic and you've been able to add them back in, then fantastic. If you haven't and you've got to week 4 and you start adding stuff back in and it still seems to be irritating in the sense of ulcerative colitis or IBD, inflammatory markers and stuff like that, you just can't have it, then maybe you might need to start a histamine regimen to try and get rid of the histamine. It could be IBD that's still playing up, but you have to kind of gauge it at week 4. And if you can get to week 8 after reintroducing stuff and you're feeling great, then fantastic. This from week 8 to week 12, so 30 days, you need to be optimizing your fat to protein ratio. So before that, you didn't care. You were just eating stuff. You were eating till you felt full. You ate as much protein and fats as you want. Now it's time to see how you feel from it. So this is when you start getting better being fat adapted. So it took me a long time on carnivore. Like, it took me a very long time. I'd say it took me a good 12 months before I was fat adapted. Now, I'm not saying all people are that, but I think maybe with some people with IBD it can take a little bit longer, because when we eat too much fat, obviously we run to the toilet very fast, and I think it does irritate quite a lot. So with that, this is where you want to get the ideal ratio. Some people are better at 60% protein, 60% fat, 40% protein, 65% fat, 35% protein. Some people are great at higher fat content, so they'll have 80% fat, 20% protein. So it all depends on how you react. So over this next 4 weeks, you just select amount, work it out over 3 or 4 days. How do you feel? How's your energy? Do you feel like you're more sluggish? Do you feel like you have more energy? Ask yourself how you feel. Does it irritate your bowels? And then obviously over the next 30 days, you'll figure out, okay, this is probably one of the most optimal for me right now. And it could change over time. But at that time, you could be right, I need a lot more fat. I need the energy. I need it to make me feel good, balance out my hormones again, make me feel fantastic. So that 4 weeks is basically just dialing your diet a bit more to seeing how you react to how much protein and fats. And obviously when you do it, you want to be having the best sort of fats, which is like the saturated fats from animal products. You don't want to be eating any seed oils or anything like that. Literally the best thing I'd say for people with IBD is to eat proper fat. So when it's on the meat, or if it's in bone marrow and stuff like that, generally rendered fat can irritate your bowels when you're first starting out. So maybe stay away a little bit from rendered fats. If you're making minced beef, got all that fat at the bottom, maybe don't have that. Over time, when you get more used to it, you will be able to have that. Now, obviously, know this is quite a strict regime, but along the way, you will think, okay, I am feeling better. I'm starting to heal a little bit. just keep that in mind, that you're not going to be on a medication, you're going to feel fantastic, and you know that you won't end up having to shit in a bag for the rest of your life. So try and take that on board. So if you are feeling like, oh, well, this diet is very restrictive, it is. But look at the life that you're going to live afterwards. So the choice is yours. Either shit in a bag and have medications for the rest of your life, or you decide that you want to take control of your eating habit, which is literally just putting something in your mouth, because it's just nutrients, and I'm thinking, you know what, I don't have to be on a medication that's going to give me side effects and whatever else. So if you're with me and you want to take control of your health and your self-reliance and everything in between, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. I do have a Patreon link in the description below where we're going to basically create a community. It's where we can get more videos quickly, so you'll be able to see them before other people. We'll be able to do like a bit of a Q&A thing, so you'll be able to talk to me directly. There's a few little bonuses. The link's in the description below. Thank you for watching, and if you want to know the most ridiculous way we have saved the planet, watch this video next.